What you're seeing here, this isn't science fiction. We're about to unpack how digital currencies have gone from being talked about on niche online forums right to the front lines of modern warfare.
Okay, so picture this. A country is under attack. Bombs are falling. Panic is starting to ripple through the economy. What's the government's very first move to stop the financial bleeding? What's the one lever they pull before anything else?
You'd probably guess they'd freeze bank accounts, right? Or maybe shut down all the ATMs. But no. In a move that shows this profound shift in how global power works, the first lever they pulled was to shut down a crypto market. And get this isn't some war game scenario. This actually happened.
This is what we're calling crypto's wartime moment. It's the point where a real-world crisis proved that, these digital assets are no longer just some speculative investment. They are now being treated as critical national infrastructure, every bit as vital as the power grid or the water supply.
So let's set the scene. The date is February 28, 2026. Airstrikes start hitting Iranian military targets. And inside the central bank of Iran, they have to make a choice, and fast. And in that moment, their very first decision wasn't about traditional banks. It was about crypto.
So instead of following the old playbook, they did something totally unprecedented. They suspended trading for the USDT Toman pair. Now why? Why do that? Because unlike bank data, which is slow, a crypto market is like a live public scoreboard of confidence in the economy. And with confidence collapsing, the government had to shut down that scoreboard to stop the panic from spreading like wildfire.
For anyone who's maybe not deep in the crypto world, USDT or Tether is what's called a stablecoin. It's basically a digital currency that's designed to hold a steady value because it's pegged one-to-one with the US dollar. It's become the digital dollar of choice for people in countries with really unstable economies.
The logic here is just undeniable. Think about it. A central bank doesn't waste precious time hitting the emergency brake on some speculative toy, especially not during a military crisis. This action was a direct admission that in the 21st century, stablecoins are systemically important infrastructure, period. So you have to wonder, how did Iran get to a point where a digital dollar became so absolutely critical? Well, the answer lies in this deliberately constructed digital lifeline, an entire shadow economy that they built on two specific crypto pillars, designed from the ground up to work outside the global financial system. And those two pillars are first, using Bitcoin mining as a kind of financial weapon to generate revenue, and second, using stablecoins as a commercial lifeline to keep international trade flowing. Let's talk about the scale of this for a second. Iran, a nation largely cut off from the global economy, now controls a staggering 2 to 5% of the entire global Bitcoin mining network. I mean, that is just a massive share for any single country to have.
And to put that into perspective, it means that roughly 1 out of every 25 new Bitcoins created on the network could be flowing directly into the bank accounts of the Iranian state, funding its military and its security operations. It's this incredible, direct link from a decentralized network to a centralized geopolitical power.
And here's their secret weapon. Thanks to massive government electricity subsidies, Iran can mine a Bitcoin for just over $1,300. Meanwhile, the global average can be over $20,000. That creates this enormous profit margin, basically turning cheap, subsidized energy into hard, untraceable currency. Now, the second pillar is all about commerce. When Iran was cut off from SWIFT, the global banking messenger system, its businesses didn't just grind to a halt. They simply found a new way to operate. An exporter in Isfahan paying a shipper in Dubai, that transaction now happens instantly using USDT. For them, it's not speculative crypto, it's just the new practical way to get paid. And the sheer scale of this parallel economy is massive. As the global stablecoin market exploded to $33 trillion in 2025, Iran carved out its own nearly $8 billion shadow system inside of it. Even its own central bank got in on the action, acquiring over $500 million in USDT to directly bypass international sanctions. Of course, an economic strategy this bold was bound to get a response. So now let's flip the script and look at the American counteroffensive, which is being fought on two very different fronts. One with traditional bombs and the other with digital bytes. Okay, so the physical option is pretty straightforward. A military strike targeting Iran's power grid could wipe out up to half of its electricity, and that would instantly cripple the Bitcoin mining operations that absolutely depend on all that cheap power. But here's the really crucial point. This wouldn't just affect Iran. Taking their miners offline would send a shockwave through the entire Bitcoin network. So look at this table. The global hash rate, which is just the total computing power of the network, it would drop. That would slow everything down, increasing the block time, which is how long it takes to process a batch of transactions, and it could potentially double the fees for every single user on the network, no matter where they are in the world.
But bombs aren't the only weapon in this new kind of fight. The U.S. Treasury has opened a second front, choosing to wage this war with bytes instead of munitions.
The Treasury is now deploying a really sophisticated tech arsenal. We're talking about leveraging artificial intelligence to find hidden patterns in transactions, new forms of digital identity to know who's actually on the other end of a wallet, and super advanced blockchain analytics that can follow the money in ways that were literally impossible just a few years ago.
To really get the challenge here, you have to know how the other side operates. So, illicit actors, let's say North Korean hackers, they steal crypto. Then they run it through these services called mixers, which are like a digital blender, mixing their dirty money with thousands of other transactions to hide where it came from. Once it's cleaned, they swap it for stablecoins and cash out into the normal banking system. So, the US counter is basically to fight code with code. Using powerful AI and these advanced analytics, investigators can essentially unblend the transactions. The algorithms can spot the digital fingerprints of the original dirty money, even after it's been through a mixer, which allows them to trace it right back to the source, just like they've successfully done with North Korea.
So when you put all this together, it points to a profound shift in the very nature of conflict. We are entering a brand new era of financial warfare, one that is completely redefining how we think about money, power, and national security.
This is really the ultimate takeaway. Money is no longer just a neutral tool for exchange. In the digital age, it has become an active instrument of state power. It's a weapon for taking offensive action. It's a lifeline for sanctioned countries, and it's a global battlefield for everyone else. This conflict we've talked about is just the opening chapter in a completely new kind of global struggle, and it leaves all of us with a critical question for our future. As the very definition of money gets rewritten into code and deployed on the battlefield, who is going to be the one to write the new rules of engagement?